Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Independent Producers Organization Live Showcase. And we are very fortunate to have David Penaflor from the Korean Veterans, War Veterans
Association.
What's that last?
Association.
Right. That's right. Here to tell us about the Korean War Veterans, the last group that meets here in Oregon, down in Wilsonville. And we're going to find out about that because we're looking for people, Korean veterans, that would be interested in coming down there. So you want to go ahead and tell a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me tonight. I truly believe this is a history about the Korean War, Vietnam War, any war that should maintain its reality and continue to live. It should be put out there in living history. Let me tell you how I got started. When I enlisted in the Army back in 1973, I was stationed in Fort Ord, California. Then I was transferred to Fort Lewis, Washington. And then after about 17, 18 months, they shipped me to Korea. Now I did 2 deployments in Korea, but the second one was the most interesting. I can remember when I went to my orientation to find out where I was going to be stationed in Korea. Everybody was pointing on the Korean map. You're going here, you're going here, you're going here. I didn't know where I was going. So I asked about it. Where am I going? Where am I going to be stationed? What's my new unit? And he says, find North Korea, find South Korea, and divide it in half. That's where you're going.
Oh,
I found out I was going on the DMZ.
DMZ, right.
So
Right.
I don't know, there was a little fear in the beginning, but I just pointed on the map and there I was, right there, right smack in between North and South Korea. And that was where my unit was. It was 2nd and 9th Infantry Division. And in that area, in that unit, it also included the JSA, the Joint Security Area. And these are soldiers, American soldiers and Korean soldiers. They work together, and this is where they have the building where they have the meetings of peace agreements and any issues that take place. This is where they meet, the North Koreans, the South Koreans, and UN, United Nations members.
Dignitaries of all
Dignitaries. And you know, where I was stationed at, you can see them crossing the bridge and going to this particular area. And while I was there, actually I got some pictures to show you. I have some pictures here. Now this is a picture of me. I guess you can find out which one is I. I'm the one in the first row. I'm probably I see towards the middle and the bottom middle.
Okay.
It's a administration squad, so we were the ones who did the secretarial work, administration, supply, arms room.
Right there. Is that you right there?
That's me right there. That was over 40 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm very honored to even wear the 2nd Infantry Division patch. It's on my shoulder.
Hey.
So those are the men that I worked with on the DMZ. Now this picture is another young me. We were attacked by the North Koreans at the Bridge of No Return. And so because of that, and also we lost 2 officers in the attack.
really?
And the operation that we were doing was called Operation Paul Bunyan. And you know the term operation, you think about a lumberjack who cuts down a tree. And this was about pruning a tree. And it got violent, and the North Koreans attacked us. They didn't want us to prune the tree or cut the tree. This was a tree. And supposedly it was planted by the Kim Jong-un, one of the early guys
Right.
in North Korea. So that started a very serious situation that war would resume. So that picture of me was in a position where I had my rifle and my rucksack, and all of us were ready at the time to prepare to be attacked by the North Koreans.
Is that during the time that they had those axes?
That's it. It's called the axe murders.
The axe murders, just because of this tree.
That's it. That's it.
Wow.
That was August, I think, August 18, 1976 when that attack happened. And it was a very tough time. And the picture you see there, the last picture that you held up, these are the guys being prepared. And the officers are just informing us the situations that are ongoing all the time. So we're always prepared.
All prep, you know,
yeah, all prep.
Taking orders, right?
So they were attacking you after this armistice supposedly was settled?
Well, after the armistice, there's been many attacks over the years from 1953 to the present day, and there's many soldiers that still lost their lives. This was a time where, when the axe murders took place, we were ready to resume the war at any time, and we had to be prepared. And the pictures that I'm showing you are the men that were on the front lines, and they were ready. And you got to understand, some of these guys, they got back from Vietnam, and they fought in Vietnam, maybe a couple of deployments, and now here they're on the front lines and may have to go to war again with the North Koreans. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. What about this photo here?
These are my buddies. You know, these are the guys I count on, and these are the guys that's going to represent the United States Army, the military. These guys volunteered. Maybe some of them are drafted. That were drafted. This was during the draft time period.
Okay.
But here's another shot. Always prepared. This time period, it lasted quite a bit. So I'm just showing you pictures that I got that showed our readiness and preparedness.
Now this was the accident. This was very interesting.
This is one of the pictures where it shows the JSA soldiers trying to defend themselves, but they were outnumbered by the North Koreans. This location here was a checkpoint, and right next to this checkpoint was the Bridge of No Return, the famous Bridge of No Return. So this incident started because the North Koreans did not want anyone to prune the tree back that was planted by one of their leaders. And so one of the sergeants that was in charge of the North Koreans, he didn't want any part of that cutting of the tree. So he ordered more troops to come across the Bridge of No Return, and he shouted out, "Kill the bastards." And so they started, you know, swinging axes and axe handles, and 2 officers eventually died after that altercation, you know, altercation.
I noticed that in this particular photo right here, you've got military person right here. That's personnel right there. He's on the North Korean side. This guy.
No.
Make sure your microphone's turned on.
Okay.
No, he's on. Is it turned off?
Yeah. Keep going.
No, he's on the south side. He's in the joint security area. We have these checkpoints, and they're monitored by Korean ROK soldiers and American soldiers and North Korean soldiers. So they're walking among each other. So it is a very hostile environment. But right there, this is a picture that was taken while the attack was taking place.
Okay.
So he could be running for his life right there.
You know, in a sense, it still is.
It is still
It's still
very hostile environment.
hostile. I think it's a perfect word. We're trying to get things together with them, but it's...
Okay, what is this?
Now this is a picture where it actually shows where the Bridge of No Return is and the checkpoint, and you see a stump there right off the road. That was a tree that was eventually cut down.
Which one is that?
And it's right there, the little stub.
Oh, the little stub right here.
And we sent in a full force, engineers, and they chopped that tree down. And I mean, at that moment when that tree was being cut down, that was the time where the war could have just began again and started. Yes,
Just behind that tree.
Just for that tree.
Well, the tree was cut, and then there was a stump left. Right?
Well, there was a matter of days and weeks of preparation of buildup on both sides, on the North Korean side and the south, just before that tree. Yeah, just for that tree.
Why did the American want to cut the tree down?
Well, it's just to show that we're not going to back down. You're not going to tell us that we can't do that.
That type of
We're
thing.
trimming that tree so we can protect our soldiers that are in those posts. When the trees are full bloom, you cannot see our men, and we can't protect them and keep eyes on them. So we wanted to simply just trim the tree back. That's all. But then it just got a little bit too much for the North Koreans for that to happen. And that little incident almost started the Korean War again.
That's a very interesting piece.
Yeah.
Very interesting piece. Okay, so that's it then. And I take it this on the DMZ. This must be the fence.
That's as close as you can get.
That's the closest. That's it right there.
There's the south side and there's the north side.
This is the south side. This is
The lower part of that photograph is the south side.
South side. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this is the north side.
That's the North
And
Korean
you can see
side.
pretty well everything down there, can't you?
You can see quite a bit.
You ever saw any tanks?
Bruce, you're gonna have to speak up because the microphone. Your microphone's not working very good.
It's not working pretty good. How about now? Is it working now? Can you hear?
Yeah, just speak up.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. All right.
Yeah.
Good. All right then. But now, as far as tanks and things of that, did you see any of those?
Well, what that picture doesn't show is we had 3 GPs at the time that were manned by the American soldiers. In relationship with the Korean or Korean Katusas, they actually work with the American soldiers. We have 3 GPs, and what they do is they're close to the front of the border right there, and their job is observation and troop movement, steam coming from the ground, vehicles, or anything like that, and they monitor that, and they make a report every day.
Better tell us, everybody, what the GP is.
A GP is just a guard post. It's
Post,
elevated pretty high. It's like a small mountain in a way where it's fortified and bunkers, and we just have heavy equipment, binoculars, so we can just see what's going on the other side. And the other side is right there in front of them, in 3 different locations. Yeah.
Thinking it'd be better if they weren't so close, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, to continue to talk about the GPs, when you're stationed on the DMZ, no matter who you are, everybody has a responsibility to go on patrols in we call the no man's zone. That means we fence in, okay? It's called fencing in. When you fence in, you're in the no man's land. So it's you and the North Korean soldiers. And the only thing that you could distinguish the boundary is these white stakes these white posts that were in the ground, and they were like 25 meters apart. So on the other side of the post was North Korea. On the south side of those posts was South Korea. So they're pretty far apart, and you're doing patrols 24/7. So you have to be very careful not to step over to the north side, because we have people who've been killed. And our mission is to look for spies or soldiers or North Korean soldiers trying to come across, pick up some information, and our goal was to set up ambushes and take them out if they come across. The danger about going on those patrols, I think they were like 3 to 6 hour patrols, and since this is a no man's land, right? Still, the buildings during the Korean War are still there, destroyed. The armory, the weaponry, the ordnances is still on the ground. No one's gone in there and just kind of got that all out of there. It's still the remnants of the war. It's still
on the
there.
North side?
On both sides, in the no man's land.
Zone. Okay,
It's dangerous for all of us, because when I went on my first patrol, when they told me that there's thousands of mines still left there, you start thinking about that, whether you're going to come back. But then after 20, 30 minutes, you forget about the whole thing, and you just focus on your mission and just do your job. And just keep an eye open. And there's a lot of animals there too, so you hear the rustling in the bushes, and it gets your attention. But it is very dangerous, very dangerous. Yeah. So that's something I'll never forget.
Right. I want to take just a minute and introduce you, Bruce Broussard, Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Richard Carpenter, and I wanted to have you go over the purpose of your here. We're trying to have more Korean veterans, in particular, come to your meeting and contact. You want to talk?
Well, I became a KWVA member about a year ago.
Oh.
It was based on, I attended a middle school event at the Korean War Memorial in Wilsonville. And if you haven't been there, go see it. It's great. It's a monument about the Oregon soldiers who lost their lives in the Korean War, and it gives you a brief history. The lives, the MIAs, and you know, we're still thinking about them and want them to come home. But the Korean War Veterans Association, there are a bunch of guys who served Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and these are the guys you'll see these are the members at our meetings, and they all have a story to tell, and it would be great to hear all their stories. And these guys don't want this Korean War to be forgotten. So they organized, and they organized the Oregon Trail Chapter 72, which they meet every fourth Tuesday of the month in Clackamas, Oregon, 15815 Southeast 82nd Avenue at Denny's. And they have done some amazing work, because in the city of Wilsonville, when they first initially started some time ago, I don't know the exact years, but they put together the Korean War Memorial from scratch, where there was no land, no finances, no funding or anything. And if you've ever been to the Korean War Memorial, it's a fantastic place of history.
In Wilsonville?
In Wilsonville, Oregon.
I've been there.
Amazing. And the Korean War Veterans Association, these members worked hard, and they got the job done. And with the support of the Wilsonville community, the Korean community, the state politicians, and it didn't matter. They were all supportive. They got us the money, and we can say today that the Korean War Memorial, that facility is there, and it's all paid for.
Wow.
It's all paid for.
Well, you know, the exciting thing that I saw when we went to lunch, when Richard and I attended lunch, all of a sudden we were there and being introduced and whatever, and then all of a sudden, you know, there were a lot of guys that were sitting out there that knew who that I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Portland Metro area. You know, like for instance, one of your former president, Van Humerson. Yeah, Van Humerson. He was a president. He was a Marine. He was a Marine, and he actually noticed me, and I'm sort of like in the political part of the world. And he came over and said hi to Richard and I.
Right.
It was a very interesting piece. So we're anxious, if you will, to become. Now you can become a member if you'd like. Okay? You got honorary members or something.
Well,
like
the KWVA.
Yeah.
If you served in the Korean War during 1950-53, yeah, you can be a member, a regular member. But also, if you served in Korea at any time after 53 to the present day, you also can be a member.
Okay.
So if you served in Korea, you can be a regular member.
I got you.
If you're a veteran, you can be like an affiliate.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And so, even spouses.
So if you're a military person, you can, and like you said, and the spouses too.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's very interesting. And you get all kinds of. I noticed the presenters in many cases. You're always trying to get that information out to vets too.
Right.
I like that.
There's
reaching out to vets.
One thing about our this chapter is all the other chapters, all the other memberships out there, the American Legion, the VFW, or whatever, there's many of them. We all support each other, and I support them too, even a lifetime member of the VFW. And the thing is that why I'm involved with the KWVA is I did 2 deployments over there, so I have a connection. I didn't go to Vietnam, and also when I became a member and met everyone, I just truly believe that the goal for 2019 is to get the next generation involved, the second and the third generation. We cannot let this go and be inactive or inactive. We must get the second generation. There's so many people that served in Korea, and if they want to share their stories or their service when they were overseas, you know, the good or the bad, join the KWVA and tell your story, and be the one who is going to get involved. And like me, I just became a newly elected officer, co-vice president. I'm actually the youngest officer and the first youngest officer elected, because those men before me, the pioneers, the guys who, and then the ones who lost their lives, who were the heroes who hadn't come back home, we just can't let this go away. We need, even if I can just change one thing or just bring one member in that served in Korea or anyone to help our organization, it just brings great joy to me that I can do something like that and represent the community as well.
Now today, right now today, is the DMZ still there? Is that divide still there? I mean,
Well,
we got the President Trump is negotiating right now with North Korea and whatever, and then South Korea is sort of like part and parcel of the negotiations. Is that DMZ still
Well,
there? People still being deployed?
I'm kind of
there?
glad you brought that up, because just a little over a year ago, I returned after my 40th year of being away.
Really?
I went to the DMZ, I went to the JSA, I went to the area before it was changed, before the axe and
JSA,
murders,
what do you mean?
Joint Security Area.
all right.
Okay.
And I went to the MAC meeting where they have the buildings, where they have the meetings with the United Nations. And even the place where Kim Jong-un actually stepped across the pathway,
Right.
into the south side. So I was there before that ever happened. The thing that has changed right now is the Americans, soldiers, they have a limited role, but they're still there. There's probably still about 30-something thousand American soldiers there.
Really?
But the GPs, I think now are maybe commanded by the South Korean soldiers. But the danger and the hostility is still there. Recently, you saw last year where a North Korean defected and in a vehicle, and then he came to our side and he was shot 4 times. So there's still hostility there, and there's still dangers there. And when you go to the DMZ, you can feel the danger. And when you go to the DMZ, you have to sign a liability that you could get killed or captured.
Yeah.
So in order to make that little
So
tour.
you were a tourist somewhat.
I was a tourist
You were
this
a
time.
tourist. And they hold tours?
Yes,
They have tours?
there is tours there. It's called the Panmunjom tour. And there's other tours that are close by that are affiliated with that. And it's a great history. And, the POWs that came home from the Korean War crossed the Freedom Bridge. Now that, on the other side of that bridge was where I was stationed. That was where my unit is. That Freedom Bridge is no longer there. It is a monument today. The South Korean people, they put ribbons and little notes, and there's thousands, tens of thousands of ribbons, hoping one day that the North and the South could unite and have unification one day. Yeah, yeah.
Well, speaking of that, just suppose that Trump and Un signed an agreement ending any conflict between North and South.
That would be amazing.
That would be a fantasy, I suppose. Or
It could be a fantasy. It could be amazing. Because in the KWVA, we read during our meetings, we read a scripted letter about the MIAs and the missing, right? So if there should be a peace agreement, should there be denuclearization, that means the land that is called like the no man's land, there's got to be hundreds, thousands of
soldiers
remains
Okay,
in that
I got
area.
I got you.
And if
really?
yes, where I would go on patrol, nobody's looking for those remains there. It's too dangerous. That when they say there's thousands of mines, who's going to be looking for the missing?
Mines also.
So I'm seeing a large area of land in Korea, south and north in this particular area, where we can recover a lot of remains that need to be recovered, dog tags or teeth or whatever, because the KWVA, they honor those who are missing, but they're not giving up on them. And we don't want our organization to give up either, not even the Vietnam Association or anyone. We want to continue this fight until everyone comes home, everyone. And that's important for us.
Well, that's important to you, too.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Still.
Vietnam, yeah, big time.
Yes, and there still remains and missing, and it can't be over until those numbers where we see that are missing. The numbers are, if they're 2,000 or 3,000, then they're 1,000, then they're 500, and then there's 10 or 5. until they all come home.
Wow.
Then
Does it involve getting them and doing DNA? And
there's probably a lot of forensics involved in DNA and scientific studies. I mean, the last people, you know, the remains were, you know, you can't describe the remains. It all takes forensics to study the DNA and the teeth or whatever. It's going to take some scientific hard work. But you know what? If someone had a loved one 65 years ago and they haven't heard from them, whether they're alive or dead or in their 80s or 90s, and then we go in there, if there should be an agreement between the North and the South and a peace agreement and denuclearization, like I say, you know, you don't want to bet on that, but it would be great if it does happen. And if we can find one person, let's begin with one, a dog tag or something that, a boot or a shirt that has his name on it, and we can identify that person and tell the family that we found the remains. That will be amazing. Even if the second or third generation are still living, it would be good to have that information and bring closure. But we don't want closure until everyone is returned home. Every single one.
Didn't we get some a while back, or didn't we get something from North Korea?
Yes, we got like 4 or 5. I'm not sure the correct number, but again, you know, the remains after 50, 60 years, you know, what's left of the remains, unless, you know, there's teeth,
Everything's pretty well.
yeah, something with the clothes of the uniforms are probably decayed, but it's forensics is going to have to do that, you know.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Now tell me this. Now, as far as the memorial here in Oregon, aspect of it, do they have is it somewhat similar like the Vietnam Memorial, where they have the names of the individuals on some sort of not necessarily a fence, but
this memorial in Wilsonville is a wall.
Is it a wall? It's a wall.
It is a wall
with tags on.
Yes, it's a wall. Is the architecture is beautiful. Like I said, there's many members of the Korean War Veterans Association who took the reins, and something that was impossible became possible. And the involvement with the Korean community, the Wilsonville, the American people, volunteers, got it done. But the job done. But it is a wall.
It's a wall.
And when you first see it, you'll see a big emblem or plaque of Korea, North and South. And then you start seeing the casualties, the killed in war, the missing in action, in the numbers, and you know, just the data on that information. And then the names of those that were Oregonians that died in the Korean War. And along the wall, you'll also see the units that were involved and the divisions that were involved. And on the ground, you'll see brickwork of names of soldiers, of loved ones, or someone dedicating a brick to a loved one that served in the war, or just purchasing a brick just to support the Korean War Memorial or the Korean Veterans of War Veterans Association. There's so many ways we can contribute. And we also have a building there on the site where our future plan is to make a museum in there.
Oh, okay.
And so with our Korean War veterans, and if anybody wants to, well, we're going to be working on that, who has any artifacts from the Korean War, we're going to be building, you know, display cases. And so we can go in there and see the history. Like I say, keep the history going. And the schools are doing a great job. The schools are asking our members to go there and talk about the Korean War, that it's not a forgotten war, and that your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your fathers may have served there after the fact. I served 22 years after the Armistice Agreement. Just think, 22 years after. I got on, my boots were on the ground. And that's something, I'm part of that history. The Korean War never ended.
That's right.
So
you were still involved.
I'm still involved. So my service over there was defending Korea. So, and it's still ongoing
Well, you
today.
know, on that particular note, you got some more photos here.
Yeah.
You got some more photos. Now this batch of photos that I'm getting ready to display, and get the producer, get the folks in the deal there. Now these photos here. Now, who are these individuals? I'll put this one on first, right?
Well, before
Before
I get to that picture,
Okay,
I need to set you up how that all came about.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I served 2 deployments in Korea, and my last one was on the DMZ, and I was there during the axe murders, living that part of history, and it went our way. The war didn't resume. Got out of that, and over 40 years has gone by. But after I got out of the service, I saw a photograph of my uncle, and it's in there.
Is it the one here?
It's the other one, the second one right
Second
there.
one right here? Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna put this
If
one up.
you show that,
Yeah, okay. Here we go right
I
here.
saw this photo,
Is that in the same spot?
and I know who it was. It was my Uncle Bob.
Okay, Uncle Bob.
And my first thought was he was getting off a plane, a ramp of a plane or something. And when I talked to my mother about it, she says, no, he's not getting off a plane. He's getting off a ship, because he is coming home from the Korean War, being a prisoner of war for nearly 3 years.
Wow.
And so that interests me. So I contacted my Uncle Bob. He's still alive today, God bless his heart. And I asked him, Uncle, you were a prisoner of war in Korea? And he started to tell me the story that he was in Fort Lewis. You know, the funny thing is, I went to Fort Ord for basic.
Yeah.
My uncle went to Fort Ord for basic.
Wow.
He went to Fort Lewis for his advanced training and stayed there for a
did the
while.
same thing.
I did the same thing. Then he went to Korea, and I went to Korea 22 years later.
Wow. You
So,
found out.
so this is my uncle,
Okay.
and so I inquired and questioned. And there's some other pictures,
Okay,
actually,
let's
when
go
he,
through that. Now, what about here? Which one do you want me to?
yeah, just you can hold that one up. That's his like basic training picture.
Okay,
You know,
basic
everybody
training.
has
Right out
this
of boot
kind
camp.
right out of boot camp.
Yep,
You get
right,
to
we all
wear
have
your
those.
dress greens.
Right. Okay.
And the second photo of him, it shows him in his little helmet and his M14 or M1 way back when.
That's an M1 there. Buddy.
And there he is.
I know, I
My
played
Uncle
with
Bob
that
is very young,
Yep.
and
M1, huh?
Yeah.
and when he got off the ship, he was met by our family, his family. My mom was
This right
actually
here,
this
Okay,
here,
this right here. All right. You
and
got
my
picture of the family here.
and you know, my Uncle Bob had 3 statuses.
There it is right
He was like missing in action, killed in action, and eventually they knew he was a prisoner of war.
Oh.
Yeah, so he had 3 different statuses.
there. Wow.
Now, in this picture, I will tell you, though this was in 1953, I am in this picture.
Really? Is that
Yes.
You, is that you right in the front?
No, that's not me, but if you see the lady right there in white,
Right. Okay.
my mother is pregnant with me.
Oh, really?
So I was there. I can say
Okay.
I was
You
there.
were there. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
So the other picture is just
Yeah,
that
this is
he,
okay.
you know, getting off the ship and just seeing
you
family.
can see it on. So
Yeah.
there it is right there. You see it on the screen. There you go.
There you go. That's my grandmother and a couple of aunts and some guy, a photographer or a reporter or
That's
something.
uncle. That's uncle.
There's my uncle. He has that 2nd Infantry Division patch on. On my jacket, I also
yeah.
have the
Yeah.
2nd Infantry Division. So
Okay.
we kind of, I just followed in his
Wow.
footsteps, but 22
Wow.
years later.
Wow. Now look like you've got some ribbons here, boy. You.
Yeah.
Now, this is uncle. These are his ribbons.
So when I saw those pictures and my uncle told me about it, and he said to me, I was angry about what happened to me. He got in country in August of 1950. He was in a field artillery. He got in country in August of 1950, and he was captured December 1st, 1950. So he's in country 3 months before he was captured. And then at that time, they went on those death marches up to the Yalu River.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't a direct walk up to the Yalu River. There was hundreds and hundreds of prisoner of war. So in order to survive, their captors kept them in villages along the way and tried to feed them and, you know, put some kind of roof over their heads. So it was a tough situation. A lot of people died of disease and dysentery. And then finally, he made it up to the Yalu River, and that is between the North and the South, or North Korea and China. And he was put in a prison camp, and there he stayed.
Sounds like the Bataan March.
Yeah, yeah. So what I did was, you see these medals, what I did was, because my uncle was had a lot of questions why things happened, and he told me that there was a lot of attacks going on, and the uniform he wore was winter gear, so he was cold. You figure in December in Korea it was cold.
Oh yeah.
And it came to a point where they knew they were surrounded. It was a matter of time he was going to be captured, and he was captured. So, and then later, you know, after his captivity, after nearly 3 years, someone came up to him and said, "You're going home." And he didn't believe it.
Wow.
He said, no, he didn't believe it. And it turned out to be true.
Were these North Koreans or the captors?
The North Koreans and the Chinese.
And the Chinese.
And he said the Chinese were so much nicer than the North Koreans.
Really?
The North Koreans, the way they were brought up, it's that you're always the enemy. So
Yeah.
you really can't talk to them, or no one, not even the women that were there who worked with the POWs. You can't talk to them. They'll tell you, you can't be talking to them. They're the enemy, you know. So you got to remember that. And the North Koreans would say, you do as I say, or you do as I do, or else. And you don't want to figure out what the or else is. You know, it's most likely it's not good. And my uncle told me that he lost 75 friends. He can remember losing about 75 friends, you know.
And this one here is, he looked like they're donning the medals. And these medals were given to him afterwards? Or?
Well, when I researched the history for my uncle, because he had no idea what took place,
Okay.
so I contacted the POW, the president of the POW Korean Association, and he told me, if you want to find the material for your uncle and research and get the documents returned to him, get his authority, you know, like a power of attorney, and let him do the research for him, which I did. And I contacted the Department of the Army, and they gave me his medical records, his personal files,
Wow.
his repatriation records,
Oh.
and also a list of his medals.
Wow.
And then I researched when his unit came into country, and where they were progressing up to the north until their capture. And now, because it's public record, it showed where the South Koreans were, the North Koreans were, the Chinese, and all the American forces. So once I got all that together, I kind of put it in a binder, Bible form, and it was pretty stacked, filled with information,
Wow.
with phone numbers, email address of people in his unit
Wow.
that were there. And I sent it to him, and I sent him his medals, and he was so thankful. He says, "You don't know what you did." He says, "You closed a chapter in my life."
Wow.
So now that he got everything, I contacted the adjutant general after I got all this to see if they can come up and honor my uncle and pin these medals on him. But this is when Afghanistan and Iraq was going on, so we couldn't do it. So now, recently, in the last year, when I became a member of the KWVA, I had a chance to be a guest speaker. And I told my story when I was in Korea. I told my uncle's story when he was in Korea being a POW. And then the heads started to come together. These guys at the KWVA says, you know, wouldn't it be great if we can honor your uncle here, and we can get the right people and pin these medals on him.
Wow.
So what you're seeing there is that day came
Wow.
where they honored him. It was a full house. He was decorated by a colonel. There was a photographer there from the Army. They did a story on him in the Graybeards National Magazine.
We can get this shot. Yeah, I think we can get this shot of this photo right here. If we can get this shot, it'd be great.
And it was a great day. It was a great day.
There it is, right there.
Yeah.
Is that the
Having him
is that the
honored.
general right there.
Having him honored. He's a colonel.
He's a colonel. Okay.
Yes.
Now, is your uncle? You know, he's an Oregonian. Your uncle?
No, he's from California.
California. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from
Okay.
California.
Well, yeah, that was kind of a nice gesture from as far as a group here.
And
Got
so,
together and put this
yes,
together?
you know what? You know, my uncle's
For another
90 years old, so
Wow. Wow.
65 years and now the story can be told. He
Wow.
waited 65 years,
Wow.
and he's very proud of his service,
Wow.
and he loved the Korean people, and serving the Korean people as a
Now,
soldier.
he took that photo. And that was
Well, they're
another photo here.
appreciative.
This photo here was the Korean vet that I spoke to at that luncheon that we went to, and this is the uncle right here.
Right. And that's the colonel in the middle.
That's the colonel.
He was the vice president the last time. Now, this picture is very important
This one right
because the man in the blue on the right is my father-in-law,
here. Wow.
and he served in the Korean War. And here, my uncle served in the Korean War as a POW.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I can say also, my father served in the Korean War. He was in the Navy in the Korean Peninsula during the war.
Wow.
And also, my uncle, my father's brother, was a Marine in the Korean War.
Wow.
So we had many members who
Wow.
The
enlisted
family enlisted.
and fought in the Korean War. And all of them are still living today.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's just an amazing
That's awesome.
picture
That's
right
awesome.
there.
That's awesome. And here's the,
Now here's a
another one.
picture of my twin brother and I and my Uncle Bob.
This is you here. This is you here.
I'm the one in the black.
Yeah, you in the back over here. This you here.
Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, what you got here? You got this womb room on there. What's up?
Well, anyway,
This is right here. Got
I was
that.
very honored to take this picture with my uncle after he
Okay.
received his medals.
Okay. Wow.
And also, the other gentleman is my twin brother. He's
Okay.
two minutes older than me.
Wow.
Both of us volunteered during the time of the draft, and we loved our service, and we would do it again. And I can say we can do it again because the draft was going on, but we both enlisted, and we both served our country.
Wow.
And my brother is also a Korean War veteran member, and that's what we're trying to do is really, if you served in Korea after the war, whether you're 65 years old like me or younger, and you want to be part of a chapter, an Oregon Trail chapter, and you want to tell your story, you want to
You
get
do that, you
involved,
do that, yeah.
and you look at these guys who were there and they fought and they came back, some injured, some, Purple Heart recipients. We need to take the baton and help them out. They love the young guys coming there. They call me young. I'm 65, but they like us there. They some of them are using walkers and canes.
Yes.
They have
right.
hearing
yeah.
aids.
Here,
They have bad vision problems, health problems, but they come to these meetings.
It's like family.
It's a family.
It's a family.
It's a family.
Yeah.
We're a blood
Right,
family.
right.
Women and men who served.
Right.
If everyone could be like the military family, this world would be a heck of a lot better, or even this country.
Well, we tend to forget. We don't have a draft.
Yeah, we don't have a draft.
now. And in many ways, they can't tell stories.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And to get to understand the
There's
values
your chance to speak up.
and the sort of commitment that one has to make
yes.
that so folks can live the way we're living today. You know what I mean, they're not really understanding what it takes.
Yeah.
The living that we're living today, folks can't really appreciate it too much because they don't know what it costs the lives of many people, many folks like yourself, and sacrificing your life, getting away from your family and whatever, and then coming back home. People are married all of a sudden, and like today. That's why we're honoring vets today.
Yes.
And telling them thanks for serving, but they don't understand that thanks for serving. But if you got folks that can tell those stories, that really gets them into that history, and then naturally they don't teach that in the schools. We don't teach that in the schools. Sometimes we'll do that on Veterans Day and things. If someone maybe call you or something like that. But on the other hand, we don't have. We just don't have. We're not telling that story, and I really appreciate that you coming here today and sharing that.
Yes.
This is very important. And so honor the vets. The VFW is a good unit also too to meet. Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Yes.
Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Right.
And they too tell a lot of stories. That's all the military.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're talking. But the bottom line is that tell those stories. Some of those folks who weren't in the war, but they were there during that particular time, even stateside, but they served.
Right.
See, and we should honor them and let them tell their stories too.
Well, I continue to tell the story because even this is something you can show
Okay, good.
and hold that up.
Okay.
when I was stationed on the DMZ in 1976, you know, we have yearbooks in high school.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is the one here.
We had a yearbook for our division, our 2nd Infantry Division. So it has all the pictures of everybody there. So this is the history.
Oh,
You know, our
okay.
commanders, our sergeants. You know, it's
Almost like a boot camp deal.
it's
It's the
but
same concept, this is huge.
these are pictures of guys you go on patrols with, the guys that are doing the hard work,
Ugh.
and these are the guys that are ready to defend
Oh,
the
yeah.
Republic of Korea.
Yeah,
And
this
when I
sir-
see some, it's a pretty old book. It's
Right. I know it's yeah.
76.
I'm just gonna kind of let me see if I can get those and just kind of just pull. But these are some members.
These
I
guys
know that.
all were there on the DMZ with me.
Okay.
Every one of these
Wow.
guys.
Really?
Wow.
And you'll see a lot of pictures of Korean.
Yes,
Korean
yeah,
soldiers?
I noticed that, yes.
They're called Katusas.
Katusas.
So a Katusa is a soldier, but he can speak
Another-
English.
Another group. Right
And
here.
so when you go on patrols, you need somebody there can translate if you need a
That would be
translation
helpful.
of
Right,
Korean.
right.
So they do the same jobs as all the American soldiers, RTOs, radio, arms room, supplies. So, and they have their sergeants too, that they're leaders that are part of.
Wow.
But isn't that great? I
That's
mean,
awesome.
this is history.
Wow.
1976, and
Wow.
I don't want to lose this book at
Oh,
all.
by no means.
This
Now,
is
most of
history.
these people from all over the country.
All over the country.
And where was boot
Yeah,
camp? Where was
usually
boot
are.
camp?
Boot camp?
Yeah.
Well, I took boot camp in Fort Ord, California.
Fort Ord. Okay.
And then
okay.
from there I went to Fort Lewis, and then
Okay.
Fort Lewis I went to
Let me see if I can
Korea.
Let me see if I can find some other entities that might be of interest that you might want to share with them. We went through all of that piece. That Sergeant Major looked like.
yeah.
He looked like a Sergeant Major there. Looked like there's the old man. There's Captain of the.
We got captains.
You got the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find some other areas, but you got the whole deal.
Yeah.
Tell us a story.
It tells a story. And I can look through this book after 40 years, and I can recognize a face in the conversation that I had with that person.
Oh,
It's great just to remember, you know.
okay.
And this was my company commander right there.
Wow.
He's right there. That was my company commander. That was my CO
Wow.
right there.
This is very interesting. Oh wow. This is huge. Man.
And you can see some of the pictures that I showed you, the actual photographs that were used to put in this yearbook.
Right. I was looking at this one here. This
Mm-hmm.
one. Yep. Oh wow. Wow.
Isn't that great?
This is awesome, man. And a lot of these people are still living.
Yeah, they would be, you know, they could be between 60 and 75 years old
Yep. So they're
right
around.
now.
Now, do you have an association at all that you go to?
You know,
You guys have one
the
of those?
second ID is, I think they have an association. They may have a Facebook page,
Mhm.
but I never became associated with the second ID.
Mhm.
I'm sure they're out there.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm with the Korean War Veterans Association. That's where I would like to do the work to keep it going,
Gotcha.
recruit members. It's not like recruiting members, it's just reconnecting with the veterans
Right.
that served in Korea.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
You know?
Well, it makes it it adds years to your life too.
Yeah.
See, because you got a family.
Yeah.
You're relating to family, and then you can tell those stories. And
Mhm.
a lot of times, when that PTSD really helps a lot of folks, PTSD. you know what I
Yes.
mean? And when you can tell stories, and then all of a sudden you can dot those I's a little bit more. You got me?
Yeah.
And get them off your mind a bit. You never forget.
Right. You never
You
forget.
never forget. It'll never go away. Let's put it that
So,
way.
so I cherish this book, and also I cherish these two binders.
Okay.
They're full of
wow.
newspaper clippings from the Stars and Stripes.
Wow.
And it is a rundown, month after month, of a history that what activities were taking place
Wow,
in
let me see if I-
Korea.
Let me see if I can kind of put some of these guys in here like this. These are yours. These are ones that
These are
you
the ones
personally
I
put together.
personally read the stories, and it talks about North Koreans being captured on the DMZ, spies, agents.
Yeah.
It talks about troop buildups from the north on the north side, just so many things, violations.
Wow.
So this is a history. This is over 40 years old of history.
Yeah, there's the jets there.
Yeah, it just talks about a lot of things, and you know this history is forgotten, but I kept it. Yeah,
Wow.
I
Did you
kept
pick
it.
that up while you were there?
You know what? I just wanted to document my
Yeah.
time in service,
Wow.
and this is something that really helped me do that.
Isn't that something?
And what I do is I lend this out. People
Yeah.
read it.
Really?
People who like
I can
history,
imagine.
they
Yes.
read it.
Oh, yes. Wow.
In this book here, this is the second one, and also it will show you some actual newspaper clippings about the axe murders that took place. And there's a lot more pictures in this, and it's towards the back. And it shows about the commanders, the change of the guard, and you get to see like the old hardware, the helicopters we used back then, the vehicles,
Wow.
who was the president at the time. So though I was a soldier, I also wanted to document the history that was taking place at that time.
Wow.
So
Man, you
Yeah.
did a job. Well, he did a job on this stuff.
That's right.
Wow.
Takes
and
a lot of-
you don't see this stuff out there. This was happening at the time. This is happening, and now here's the picture of the JSA where I was telling you about where
Right,
that
right.
attack
Half
took
and
place.
half. And they were half and half. It's American. I think this must be American. You
Yeah.
got the other side. on the
Now
other
you
one.
see this picture here.
Right.
This is the ROC soldiers. They're patrolling the DMZ right here.
Wow.
When I said I fence in, I fence in. I go inside the other side
Really?
on patrols. So it's as far as you can go until you're the one assigned to go on the patrols inside there.
Wow.
So it's
That-
called no
that's-
man's
That's in
land.
between.
Yeah, this is the safe side.
That's the safe
But
side.
when you fence in, it's yeah.
They do the same thing.
They do the same thing. Yeah.
Wow.
You saw the whole west to east of that Korean border is maintained.
Evidently, that's where
24/7.
these tanks are located.
Yeah.
That's right, in the middle there.
Yeah, it tells you a lot. This is a history book right here.
Wow.
I may be the only one who actually put something like this together in those 2 years when I was in Korea.
I know. I wouldn't be surprised. Now I got a picture I want to show. We've only got a couple more minutes.
Okay, good. Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, good.
I want you to hold it up.
This is great. This is great. Well, a lot of history. Now, what do you got here?
This is a picture of Korea.
Okay, it's a picture of Korea. All right.
That's probably good enough. Down here, South Korea, bright lights,
Yes.
freedom.
Wow.
Up here is black, a tyrant. They're in the dark.
Wow.
All the difference in the world.
Big difference.
All the difference in the world. And I guess it's still like that.
You can see in that picture where the most lighted area is. That's
Yeah.
Seoul.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right.
Seoul.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's the DMZ where it starts with the dark.
That's where that's where they pointed to me and says, "You're going here."
Right there.
Oh, yeah, right.
So-
Wow. Wow.
Okay,
Wow,
like I said, a
huge.
couple minutes for you just to go over. You're trying to locate more, especially Korean
You know,
people.
I've been newly elected as a co-vice president of the Korean War Veterans Association. I'm the second generation. The first generation is the ones who fought in the war. I'm the second. I served 22 years after. And what I'm trying to do is, because I was really confused whether I could serve in this organization or not. But yes, if you served in Korea, please, if you served in Korea, you want to be part of the KWVA, and tell your story. Also support us. Become a regular member, and your spouse, or a civilian, or any military person who has not served in South
But
Korea.
served,
You could just join the brotherhood, and support our chapter. We do amazing work, and we need to support these guys that been there in the day of the war, and we need to be the ones to fill in for the ones that we're losing regularly every month. And all the organizations are in the same. So I hope that I could ask that if you ever served in Korea, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and you did time in Korea, just find us. We have information I could give you. I think that-
Website probably.
Okay,
KWVA.
we have I had given you the information. I don't know if he's going to post it or not. But the KWVA, we meet monthly, the fourth Tuesday.
Fourth Tuesday
Of every month.
Okay.
At Denny's. They have a banquet hall.
Right.
The address is 15815 Southeast 82nd Avenue, Clackamas, Oregon. There, we have a luncheon.
Yes, we were there.
We have a raffle.
Yeah, oh, yes.
And if you want to become a member,
we're signing off. So we want to, I want to thank David Penaflor for
thank you for having me. Thank you.
You still have about 3 minutes. See? Yeah, you still got about 3 minutes, Rich.
Oh, we're going by the other time.
Yeah. Oh, the other time?
That's right.
Yeah,
You're right.
We still
You're
got
right.
about 3 more minutes.
Okay, we still got a couple more minutes.
Let's talk a little bit about the memorial. Now, the memorial is located where now again?
The memorial, it's a beautiful memorial. It's located in Wilsonville, Oregon.
Right off I-5.
I-5. You could follow the signs. There's signs out there that says the memorial, Korean War Memorial.
What turnoff is that off of I-5 going?
You could actually get to there from the north Wilsonville exit and also the south Wilsonville exit.
Okay.
It'll all come together.
There are signs there.
There are signs there. It's a beautiful memorial, and we just recommend all age groups, any veteran. You know, it's like the Vietnam Memorial in a smaller.
When is it open?
It's open every day.
Every day? What time?
It's out in the open.
It's open every day and out in the open. There's no fence or gate.
24/7, okay.
Well, you can go there at night.
You can go at night too if you want to.
But you would see something amazing that was put together by our members of the Korean War Veterans Association.
And I noticed that many Oregonians were at that luncheon, and I'm sure they participated and put that together.
Yeah, we have several events during the year, and we like to make them better and bigger, and get the community involved, and work with the Korean community. The Korean community are helping us out a lot financially. Right. They are thankful to our soldiers that went over there.
Yeah.
They know what you saw, that picture of the North and the South. The South could have been dark too, but the South is rich and prosperous.
Right.
And the Korean people are thankful. I think they're starting to get it now more than they did before.
USA.
Yes, USA, because every Korean person that I meet that sees that I served in Korea are thankful and very appreciative. You know, when I had these patches sewed on this coat, the guy that owned the cleaners or the tailor shop was Korean.
Wow.
Oh.
And when he started to read the Korean writing, he says, "What is this about?" I said, "I served in Korea, 2 deployments back in the 70s. He says,
"No charge."
No charge. Thank you, sir, for your service, and come back and see me.
Yes.
I would like to talk to you.
Yes.
You're a friend and you're a patriot. Thank you."
And I want to thank our crew for making this show possible.
Real quick.
I think.